So, you watched the intro. You know Kivotos is a powdered head of teenage nation-states, and now you want to know how the story actually begins. Well, good news. The prologue is short. Bad news, it raises approximately 400 questions and answers none of them. And since it's likely it's either been 3 years since you last watched it, or you're like me and started zoning out halfway through Rin's third briefing, here's the summary that takes approximately 40 minutes of content and boils it down to less than that. We open up in a dream. A girl we've never met, whose baby light is suspiciously serene, and if you look closely bleeding, tells us that everything is her fault. She apologizes, says that only you can change what comes next, and leaves the rest in your hands. Then she throws you out of the dream and, presumably, into gainful employment. This is the General Student Council president, by the way. Remember her because the entire game begins with the fact that she is gone. And now, before we go any further, I had to admit, I gotta make a few corrections from the last video because Kivotos' bureaucracy is apparently complicated enough to defeat both its own government and my ability to read. It is the General Student Council, not the Federal Student Council. So we will not be calling it the FSC from now on, which is good because it's a mouthful. Instead, we're going to call it the GSC, which is slightly less difficult to pronounce. Schale, it however, is the federal organization, and although Schale can mean shell in German, that is not an explanation of what the organization actually does. It also was not created specifically to find the missing president. It has a much broader authority to investigate problems all across Kivotos. Also, the game never explicitly says that Sensei has amnesia. Sensei knows approximately as much about Kivotos as someone who has just been dropped into the tutorial of a mobile gacha game. Which, to be fair, is exactly what happened, but amnesia was me filling in a blank the story was deliberately leaving open. There. Corrections issued. Get off my back. My journalistic integrity has been restored and I'm sure I will never get anything wrong ever again. Then you wake up to Namagami Rin, the General Student Council's Vice President and Chief Administration Officer. And the poor soul currently trying to hold all of Kivotos together by herself. Rin has the energy of a woman who has not slept since the Clinton administration, which, as a fellow immortal, I respect. Most students find her terrifying because she has all the warmth of a tax audit, but underneath the Ice Queen exterior is someone keeping an entire city running through sheer competence and unpaid overtime. She'll become one of the story's most important recurring characters, so get used to that disappointed stare. You'll be seeing a lot of it. Usually directed at you. Oh, I really wish she'd look at me like that more often. Anyway, Rin explains the situation. The president has vanished without a trace. No note, no explanation, nobody even seems to know basic details about her. Not her real name, where she came from, or which school she attended. What she did leave behind were instructions. Specifically, bring in Sensei. Then that's you. An adult outsider with no idea what is happening, arriving just in time to inherit responsibility for an entire academy city. You have no army, no established political base, and, as we are about to discover, roughly 1 employee. It's fine. It's fine. The president's disappearance did more than create a leadership vacuum. Because she personally controlled the Sanctum powers, the administrative heart of Kivotos, her absence has thrown the city system into chaos. Traffic control is failing, criminals have escaped from the corrections bureau, illegal weapons are spreading, and public order is collapsing faster than a group project with no deadline. Speaking from personal experience. Rin's plan is to escort you to Schale's clubroom, where the president left something capable of restoring access to the tower. There is just one small little problem. That area has been occupied by armed delinquents. Because of course it has. This is where you meet your first squad. Yuka from Millennium, a treasurer who can calculate exactly how much money you're wasting and recite the numbers to your face. Hasumi from Trinity, A soft-spoken sniper with terrifying accuracy and the aura of a saint who has absolutely killed for the church. Multiple times. We're talking old school, Old Testament kind of saint. Then there's Shinatsu from Gehenna's prefect team, proof that even the demon school has one responsible child, and Susumi. Yeah, that's 4 students from 3 of the major academies, Millennium, Trinity, and Gehenna, brought together to escort one confused adult to work. Not quite the perfect balanced diplomatic delegation I implied last time, since Trinity gets 2 representatives, but apparently nobody wanted to tell the girl carrying the sniper rifle that she had used up their quota. They are your protection, your firepower, and your first taste up against Central Banneret. You give the orders, teenagers do the shooting, and everyone somehow survives. Yeah. During the assault, we meet the person behind the jailbreak and the current riot, Wakamo, a fox-masked escapee from Yakiyako and an extremely dangerous criminal. She takes one look at you, turns the color of a stop sign, and runs away. That is not a joke I added to the video, that is actually what happens. One of the most dangerous people in Kivotos sees your face and immediately short-circuits. Get used to it. It will make sense later, and by make sense, I mean become significantly weirder. Once the building is secured, Rin gives you the present's final gift, the Shikin chest, a mysterious tablet that may also somehow be the Ark of the Covenant. Don't ask any questions. Then comes the part that should bother you. The tablet asks for a password and you somehow know it. We thirst for the 7 wailings. We bear the Kuan of Jericho. And because Blue Archive cannot name an object without hiding at least one comparative religion lectured inside it, none of that wording is random. Shittim is the wood used to build the actual biblical Ark of the Covenant, which was the sacred chest that contained the stone tablets and was carried around Jericho before its walls came crashing down. Shittim is also the name of the Israelites' final encampment before they crossed the Jordan towards Jericho. So the Shittim chest is essentially a cyberpunk Ark of the Covenant, a sacred box containing a tablet, a mysterious divine adjacent girl, and enough administrative authority to perform miracles. The 7 wailings appear to invoke the 7 trumpets and the repeated use of the number 7 in the fall of Jericho. But then the password calls the Koan, or Koan, a Zen question or paradox that cannot be solved through ordinary rational thoughts. In other words, we are 5 minutes into the game and already combining the Old Testament, Buddhist philosophy, and tablet-based technical support. So where did you learn this password? Great question. The prologue certainly isn't going to tell you. And when the chest activates, out pops Arona, a sleepy, blue-haired AI who lives inside the tablet. She immediately calls you Sensei and restores the General Student Council's access to the Sanctum Tower as casually as installing a firmware update. Let's talk about Arona for a moment, because she is about to become the most constant presence in your career. She is your secretary, your mission control, your menu guide, and eventually your bullet-blocking guardian angel. Yes, she can protect you from actual bullets while living inside a tablet. No, the prologue does not explain how, nor does it let her actually cook for you or do anything else that you would want from your typical waifu. Stop asking sensible questions. She is also powered almost entirely by sweets, naps at her desk inside a tiny classroom, and reacts to your gacha pulls with either genuine delight or barely concealed pity. She is the dame's mascot for a reason. She is also, and I cannot stress this enough, sitting on an absolutely staggering amount of lore behind that sleepy smile. And we'll get there, eventually. Therapy first. With control of the tower restored, Rin finally shows you your new workplace, the Independent Federal Investigation Club, Shale. Shale was created personally by the missing president. It operates outside the authority of any individual academy and has broad permission to intervene in problems across Kivotos. That sounds powerful, right? Well, allow me to introduce the full print staff of this all-important federal organization that's supposed to save the world. It's you. And Arona. That's it. That's the organization chart. One bewildered adult and one narcoleptic tablet girl. The club room itself is a modest office left behind by the president. The students you work with still belong to their own schools and clubs. They simply help Shale when circumstances or sensei pulls the link to the latest disaster. And the most important organization in Kivotos is staffed like a failing food truck. And unlike what I suggested last time, there is no real indication right now that Shale was deliberately underfunded or set up to fail. It is simply a catastrophically ambitious institution whose creator disappeared before giving its only human employee an orientation. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. Around the edges, Rin and the rest of the General Student Council handles the politics and paperwork above your pay grade, occasionally descending from on high to bail you out, chew you out, or accomplish both in the same meeting. They are not technically part of Shale, but they are the closest thing you have to co-workers, assuming co-worker means someone who sighs whenever you enter the room. And that's the prologue. The city system restored, the Shivan chest activated, and Shale finally opened for business. An organization with sweeping authority, effectively no staff, a founder who has vanished, a secretary who lives in a tablet, and a to-do list titled Fix Everything. Your first real case arrives almost immediately. It's a tiny school on the edge of the desert, buried under an impossible mountain of debt. Only 5 students remain, and they are doing everything they can to stop your school from disappearing for good. But we'll get to Abydos next time. For now, thanks for sticking with it. I'll see you in the next video, and like, comment, subscribe, that whole jazz, and I'll see you later. Bye bye!